So I'm a soil scientist with the Natural Resources Conservation Service, and I'll be talking a little bit about urban soils. One of the things that you have to keep in mind is urban soils is not equal to pollution, right? So there's some soils that they're elevated concentration of some heavy metals. I like to call it trace metals. It's all just pure academic on my part, but it's well known as heavy metals. But urban soils is not equal to pollution. There's some urban soils that they're clean and they're really productive. So one of the things is that the United States has been going through a transformation since the late 1700s. Into people moving from the rural areas into the urban areas. And I don't see that as a problem, I see that as an opportunity. How we can make all those cities more resilient, producing food, food for the people that live there. They don't depend too much on those big farms in the rural areas. So as you can see here, about 34% of the population in the U.S. So what is urban soils? First of all, soils are living things, are living systems. That's extremely important to know. Some soils are easy to deal with. Some soils are more stubborn. Some are difficult to deal with. They could be they're too dry, too wet. Too easy, too compaction, too clay, too sandy, but there is always ways to deal with it. So our urban soils are divided into human altered and human transported. Human transported are those ones that we carry stuff, dump it somewhere, and you can have different kind of fragments. We have construction debris, metal, glass, and other things. And those human transported is not associated with agriculture. The important thing of this is that you can learn some terminology. So when you talk to a soil scientist or soil conservationists with our agency, we can talk the same language and we can communicate better and provide you the best service that you expect. So some of the soils are soils that has a lot of stuff on it, construction debris. Those construction debris could be natural coast fragments, it's in here, it could be concrete, it could be brick, it could be pieces of metal, glass, asphalt, you name it, could be there. So the thing is that, these soils, it's not just human transported, it could be also natural soils. For example, this one with a lot of coarse fragments, given that this is human transported material but doesn't have any concrete or glass. We have soils that are come up with things that are mostly coal, from burning coal. It could be industrial, or it could be, in the past we used to heat our houses with coal. So how they clean those furnaces, they dump everything in the backyard in the past, right? So that's coal, and start building up. And you can see here, soil that are being formed with gold slag, and soil that are being formed with fly ash and gold ash. We have also natural soils that are in the urban areas that are being impacted by human activity. You can see in here that this soil, we were looking at the concentration of lead in the soil, and you can see that there is being high concentration of lead in the surface. That means air, water is being carried all that stuff and then deposited in the soil. One of the good things about lead, or bad thing about lead, is it doesn't move that well in the soil, so you can see there's an increase in So you can see that there are natural soils also being impacted by human activity, like in this case, some demonstrated position. This other side, we have other soils that they are they've been formed from from dredge material. So cleaning our rivers or cleaning the channels or whatever, they deposit them in this soil form. But the problem with this, or some of the limitations of these soils are that they compact very fast. They could be having a lot of sulfur. You could have heavy metals also. So you can see that there is a different kind of urban soils. What I want to say is, some of these examples are from the east. Our soils in the east are a lot older than urban soils. In urban soils, they're not being disturbed at all than the ones in, for example, New Jersey. I work in New Jersey. So our soils tend to be probably more disturbed. Be that they are a lot older. Some of the management practices that they did in the past with early irrigation. So that's one of the things. So now we know, we kind of understand, we can see some stuff that we can dig at home in our backyards or community garden, urban farm operation. We can start, keep our eyes open and looking for things like glass, coal, and construction debris. So now, with that in mind, we can look at the different resources concerned. Things that we know that it could be in the soil that will be reducing or limiting some of the things that we do. In this photo here, you can see it was right next to each other. There's an area that's being highly disturbed, and there is an area that is completely natural. So our soils in the urban areas are very, very vibrant. This is an example of a coal stuff. So some of the things, resources concerned, we can have soil erosion. Yes, we can have soil erosion in the urban areas. Raindrop is a very powerful thing. Have you seen when it rains that you see, the wall or the fence? You can see that there is very probably close to 3 feet or so. That's the type of the raindrop catching particles, and that is creating erosion. So besides this, what you're seeing a lot even in the raised bed. You put compost, if you like relatively compost, and next year the raised bed is like halfway empty. So there's sometimes organic matter going through some chemical reactions, and then that organic matter. Organic matter depletion is another resource concern. Because we need to feed our soils. Our soil, like I said, are living things, right? Living system. So we need to feed them. We have a lot of microbial activity. We have to feed them with what they like to eat, and then also work with chemistry in the soil. Those are the two most powerful things in soil that I always come to the point. Is organic matter and chemistry. They're very, very powerful in the soil. You can manage the soil. Different kind of soils just by looking at organic matter. Extremely important. Like I said, soil organisms, if we don't feed them well, we might have the wrong organism resistance that they might not provide all the nutrient cycles, carbon cycle, nitrogen cycle, and so on. One of the things we might give you an example of that is when you put in the mulch, you need to be also careful about your carbon-nitrogen ratio in that mulch. That's extremely important. If you put mulch that is too high in calcium, in carbon, you're cutting all that nitrogen, and the nitrogen is going to be available. It will take a lot of time for that carbon those and release that nitrogen. So be careful with that. Compaction, we see compaction all the time. Compaction is one of the things that we lose those pore spaces in the soil, so then you don't have that air coming into the soil. You don't have that gases change in the soil. micro, that they are in a system that there's no air or anaerobic, it's kind of like a reverse cycle, in nitrogen. So the compaction is also something that you have to pay attention to. Aggregate stability or instability in this case, it has to do also with that gas exchange. You need the soil that the roots are going to penetrate to. You have good microbial activity in those soils. So, aggregated stability is important. You can see here with the granular, which is usually is the typical A horizon or the surface horizon. Then you have a good root penetration, water movement, good gas exchange, compared with the clay that the soil, the water hardly goes through. Hardly any oxygen or air. The bacteria they don't like this kind of structure. Feel free to ask any questions at any time. Since on a high water table, water is important if it is not too shallow that it will produce some science.
Yeah, so is it because there's so much microbial activity that what exactly?
Yeah, the organic matter we start discomposing, and start using it's a microbial activity. It's a good system. That means that it's working, but the organic matter is disappearing into a more stable phase. And there's less problem. That's it. Yeah.
These lists will be helpful for urban farmers going to NRCS that, right?
Yes.
I don't know if I'm reading that, sorry.
Yeah, no, yeah.
So, is there like a checklist of things that farmers can take in? Because a lot of times they're getting funded with the programs they need because they don't know this language. They don't know to say, this is my resource concern, right?
I believe that all that information is in our websites. I don't work that much in the conservation part, the soil scientist, but if there is anybody here from NRCS that wants to say something, I'll be involved in that. That's Denise.
Yeah, technically, most of the time our urban conservationists should come out to your site. Not every urban office has a soil scientist like Edwin, but generally speaking, we do have resource soil scientists, and so if there's concerns with your soils, certainly you should reach out and contact them. But to kind of look at your resource concerns and what you have, you don't necessarily have to have your resource concerns documented just to submit an application for assistance. And actually you should have a conservation plan and work with an urban conservationist and to determine what your resource concerns are on the landscape. So can I ask what state you're in?
I'm here in Michigan. I'm not farming anymore, but I feel like as a farm educator, I learned this, but back when I was farming and went to NRCS, many of these things would have been helpful to know.
Sure.
And I think farmers don't know to say the code language to get the things they might benefit from.
Well, just to file for an application, you don't have to know these code languages. So you should go in and you should file an application with NRCS, and that will trigger a visit by a conservationist that knows what to look at on these sites. So generally speaking, yeah.
So I am an urban conservationist for NRCS, and so that's your job as a farmer, landowner, whatever, is to recognize that you have some sort of a problem. Whether you know these resource concerns or not, just you recognize you have some sort of initiative you want our assistance with. My job is to know what these resource concerns are, and to know that, hey, you do have plant productivity and health as a resource concern. It's not necessarily your job to know those, it's more my job to know those. my job's there to help you, so just knowing that you have some sort of an issue, you're not getting the productivity that you want out of your soils, then that's what my job comes in, to recognize what those issues really are in our language of the resource constraints.
Just to answer your question, because I also work in education programs, so I understand where you're coming from. There are farmers that they know that NRCS can take care of this stuff for them, but they are just interested. That tool does exist. I don't know that it goes into this detail, but I believe it's called the. It's a tool where you just go. It's built for farmers who are interested in visiting their office to build their list, so that they have something they can walk into the office with and they have talking points. It's called a resource concern tool, I think. Add things basically to your cart. It comes up with a document for you. You can read NRCS's data definitions for these resource concerns. And if you print it off, it comes with notes built in on the side where you can take notes at your meeting.
Fantastic, that is super helpful.
Yep, all of this information I pulled out from our webpage. Right. So, this is how we think. Okay, water table is some of the things that, we need water. The plants need water, right? But if the water table is too high, it will reduce some production, because our plants, they don't like to have the wet feet. And also, it reduces, gases change, so this kind of thing. So, that's one of the things that we look at it too. Plant productivity and health. We need to make sure that we're feeding the plant with the right nutrients. The soil is capable of that. I'm going to be talking a little bit more on the plant part, plant selection. But that's with the plant selection, that's something that we always, at least I always encourage you to come to the extension service. Person, specialist and expert on plant. But I will touch a little bit so you know what I mean. Concentrated salt and other chemicals, these are the things that, some of these organic soils, like I mentioned, like a dredged soil that brings salt, sulfur, some of the soils, there's a one more. Some of those unpredictable soils, they don't have heavy metals, and we need to deal with them, manage them. One thing also I want to talk about heavy metals, we saw about concentration. So, for example, most common question is where are those trace elements or heavy metals coming from? Sometimes there are natural sources. It's coming from the rocks, it's coming from the Wikipedia. We have soils in New Jersey that are particularly high in arsenic. Came from the soil. Natural concentrations are higher than the background levels. Our neighbors, West Virginia, there's a lot of they got mining operations and they have to deal with that too, because mining is so heavy metals come from trace metals, they come from pesticides, fertilizer, paint, remember the paint, with lead on them, they stick very well. So we shouldn't be using batteries and those other ways, like gasoline. Some of the sources of that. We have some areas in New Jersey with in natural soils, our levels of lead and arsenic are very high, and that was because when the gypsy moth came, there were airplanes everywhere putting pesticide to try to control the gypsy moth. That lead and that arsenic doesn't go anywhere. We have so much iron in the soil that it doesn't matter. An application also from industrial and domestic sludge. Sometimes animal manure also. Like I said, so some of the resources concerned, let's say this is an example from our big soils here, you can see it. A lot of rocks. You see organic matter here, you see all the soil is all red all the way up to the top. There's some bricks, a lot of rocks, rock cover. So then you can see that there is organic modifications. And like, like we said, that's our job to tell you because of issues. No. And the reason is because we are not an expert. We prefer to refer you to a person that we work with. We can give you some information telling you the levels, and you can reach out to the extension service, EPA. We have some programs that help out. When people hear EPA, they got scared. Oh, they're going to shut me down. EPA has some very good programs that will help you through real communication. We're not experts. So very quick, you can see the kind of modification, concentration, salts, and chemical. Probably there's not organic matter, so the mechanism there's not going to be that big, but there are going to be that happen there. Aggregate instability, structure, and so on. So we can look at the soil and we can build up that place for you. So how we can manage those soils? There are certain things that we can do, and in this equipment here, that this state got a equipment similar to this one. It's X-ray fluorescence. With that, we can look at about 26 different trace elements in one shot in 1 minute. And the idea, we do not do soils analysis. Here, we do not do soil analysis. We do soil screening. What we do is provide you information, areas that there are high concentrations of certain elements, so you will take samples from there to a certified lab. We are an agency that provides information. We don't do soil analysis. Well, rather than you taking a composite sample, send it to the lab, and the analysis are going to come back like nothing is wrong, we're telling you this area is hot. Send a sample from there, and then you will have the right information. Plus, it's going to reduce your cost. I mean, let's imagine just one sample is $20 for one element. We can give you data for 50, 60 points, 26 elements for free. That's actually free. So, but I want to make sure that if you see this, what it is, and to make sure that you understand that we don't do that analysis. Sorry. We can talk more about this. So what is some of the management is, and from the west, so everything is acidic. In here is all, everything is alkaline. So you should maintain your pH. Like I mentioned before, chemistry is very powerful. If you're looking at lead, you have to look at arsenic. This is lead is positive, arsenic is negative. You remember from your chemistry. So when you are trying to tie up lead, if you bring the pH too high, you're making the arsenic available to the plant. That's important. There is some, when one is positive, one is negative, you have to be aware of both. The thing with arsenic probably is not going to be it will be, well, it might be absorbed by the plant, but also it will reduce the phosphorus of plants roots are not going to grow well, they're not going to be very productive. But also, we're always be aware of that. Lead is positive, arsenic is negative. If you try to hang out lead, you will make it the one. Of course, when you talk to your soil scientists in the area or your extensionists, you'll be able to reduce soil saturation when the soil is too wet. What you're going to do is to make some of those trace metals available because they don't have anything to hide on them. Organic matter or carbon or to hydrogen. Alright, when I say applying phosphate, applying phosphate that will help those arsenic get tied up.
Your XRF was the million for arsenic, that means flag. You have a bit more guidance on lead than
Well, it depends on your state. Different states have different cleanup standards or remediation standards. The XRF, the minimum detection is under maybe 3 parts per million, and the cleanup standard, for example, for the Jersey State, 2 per million. So the XRF works. It's a source of information. Okay, so phosphate, you apply phosphate, it helps to kind of that arsenic. The plant selection is extremely important. Not all the plants behave the same way. Not all the root plants are the same. Potato is different than the carrot. Carrot is different than the turnip. And the physiology is different. And the extension survey is perfect. The thing is that the potato is a tuber. Basically it's the source of energy for the plant. The carrot or the turnip, they got xylem and phloem like any other plants, and then what they do is just absorb them into it. So it might absorb, or it will tend to absorb heavy metals more than, for example, I'm not saying don't plant turnip, I'm not saying that don't plant carrots, they're all good, I like them a lot. Just make sure your soil condition and select the right plant for the site. Leafy greens also. If you don't have your soil protected, that rain crop, which will splash, particles are going to get in the leaf, and if you don't clean those leaves or remove the old leaf, you may be using some of that soil. So just clean them up very well. I'm not saying don't plant lettuce. Plant lettuce. I like lettuce. Just make sure that you clean them up very well, or have your soil very well protected. That's the just remember, we're the government. We are not here to tell you what not to do. We're just giving you information to help you to do the right thing. Okay, this management practice is going to go very quick in here. This is something that I put in there, but most of the time it's impossible. You have a small pot, it's what it is. The pot is close to the building, old building, or whatever. You have to do it. Just make, maintain those areas protected during the down season. Put some plastic so no particles get into the ground. Put some cover crop to help out, protecting that soil, and then also feeding the soil with the organic matter. Crop selection again is important. And this is from a fact sheet from the University of Connecticut. You can Google it also. Get the information there. Like I said, remove the outside leaf from the leafy greens. Peel your root crops. So you can remove that particles. The reason is because lead, the path for lead is when you eat it. It's not like it's going to be absorbed, but it's when you eat the soil. So those are the kind of things. So also dust. You've got to be protected so the dust doesn't fly all over it. pH again. And this is not just for lead, it's also for any kind of nutrients. Between 6.5 and 7 is the optimum for nutrients availability. Organic matter, we recommend frequently 5 to 10%. People like to grow in compost. That's a okay, you like to grow compost. Usually compost got to the slope on it, and the plants tend to be a little bit smaller.
We've been seeing a lot of really high phosphorus compost. Do you imagine that there's any positive interaction there in terms of lead interaction in the soils?
That's the truth, and depending on most of the new compost that you see, there's hardly that much phosphorus on it. Maybe, you know, if there is some other kind of compost that comes from, you know, animal waste, it might be a little higher. Or fish compost. Again, phosphorus again. Protect the soil. You need to keep the soil protected. That's extremely important. Cover crops. So, you know, when you come to the next season, there is something that the soil is being feeding from it. Lose compaction. All right, so this is an example. We can see here, you know, low tunnel, we have some cover crops in here. We have some mulching. You can see there is, you know, straw. Again, you know, make sure that you know your mulch. You don't put too much carbon on it, and you'll add up some of the nitrogen. You know, composting facilities, you know, soil panels, that's kind of cool. We should do more of that. Source of information. We have a lot of information in the web soil survey. How many of you have visited the web soil survey? Do you know that this city, Detroit, is being mapped? You have the soil map of the city? So you know that? But go into the web soil survey. There is so much information there. It's incredible. We have done a good job. So, you know, this is how the web soil survey looks like. You know, you can do different things. You can like type your address, like a Google, you know, finding an address. You can, you know, this is from here, from this area actually, and then you can see that there is mapping stain. When you click on that, you can see all the information that you can get right there just by clicking this blue thing. You can see in here the kind of material. It says low-me human transported material offer, low-me large speed. That's not cool, but you know there's some information that means that there is some transported material. You can generate interpretation. You know, farm and garden composting facility. One thing that I want to make very clear here. You see that the colors go from very limited to non-limited. Those are limitations. We are not telling you what to do or not. What we're telling you is it's very limited. There are certain parameters there that will make whatever you want to do a little bit more expensive. It doesn't mean that you can't do it. It's going to be a little bit more expensive. When you go through the report, they will tell you all the parameters. For example, in this case, it will be trafficability, disposition, you know, low microorganism, construction, maintenance side, you know, public health. There are different parameters that are being used to develop that interpretation. So the whole description, it will tell you exactly what it is. And actually, there's a table that I didn't include there that it will give you all the items. Compaction, too dusty, too wet. It will give you a lot of information. I just put them out because people like maps. So there is another one, fragile soil. Is how good is the soil for resilience. So you can see that these certain soils here, they're not fragile. So there's other stuff that you can do with that. Chemistry. There's the chemistry of the soil, again, pH. So you can make a map. And these are interpretations. There are kind of average numbers. It doesn't replace if you plug in a sample into the lab or do your pH meter on site. But it gives you an idea. So in here you can see that it's slightly uncommon. So the pHs are between 7.4 and 7.8.
This is a soil data.
No.
Is that right? It's not.
So it's live data, and we update this data on a yearly basis.
Oh.
Yeah. the whole nation. Yeah.
So like where it shows the industry exchanges, are they taking a bunch of samples from that?
Well, everything on the mapping, I mean, I couldn't be talking days about mapping techniques, but it's based on a model. We build a model, we collect a lot of data. We build a model, this plant material, this area, this topography, this location, this surface soil. And that's how we use stuff in the The models are really good. You know, they work out very well. All right, so at the end you can even generate a report. You know, so you can create a report, and that's it. I don't have any questions. I'll be happy to answer any questions, any additional questions. You can find a lot of information from the San Science Division. I work for the state of New York.